So, at the beginning of the story, an incident from 1990 in a town in Germany is mentioned, where we are introduced to a man named Robert who is working in his factory. Robert goes to his boss's cabin and finds out that he has been fired from his job. Later, we learn about Robert's son, Jennings, who was making graffiti on a wall with his friends. At that moment, the police arrived and Jennings and his friends started to run away. Somehow, by dodging the police, he reached his family, who were having lunch together at that time. Just then, the police arrived and Robert said to them, "We are celebrating here. Would you like to join us?" The policeman then says, "We are here to catch the boy who is damaging the walls with a color can. That boy is damaging state property." Then Jennings' father, David, says, "Isn't this property owned by the people?" The police officer says, "This is state property." Then Jennings' mother, Marin, says, "Did you also arrest those people who were dancing on the wall?" Hearing this, the policeman says, "If I see your son doing this again, I will catch him." Saying this, he leaves from there. Actually, Marin was referring to the Berlin Wall to the police officer, which people had torn down in 1990 to unite East and West Germany. Marin and her entire family had a communist ideology. That's why they were against the government system. And Marin's son Jennings also registered his protest against the government system by making graffiti on the wall. Later, Marin was going to take something out of the car's trunk. Then she sees Walker there. Walker was a childhood friend of Marin and David. Upon seeing Walker, Marin says, "You've returned from Hungary." Walker says, "I came to say hello to you." Hearing this, Marin left from there. Then David came there and hugged Walker upon seeing him. Then Walker says to David, "I wasn't feeling good alone in Hungary at all." Later, Walker also started celebrating with David's family. Now at night, Walker was standing on the house balcony. Just then, he sees some trucks passing by from there. At the same time, David also brought a sheet for Walker so he could sleep. Then Walker sees the government trucks passing by again and asks David, "What exactly are these people doing here?" David says, "I don't know. For some days, the trucks have been going towards the warehouse complex." Walker says, "This is not normal. They must be dumping something in the complex." David says, "It could be government files." Walker says, "No, it's something else. We should talk to your uncle. He has been overseeing repairs and maintenance in the complex for a long time. We should find out from him." David didn't want to talk to his uncle because his family didn't get along with him. Still, upon Walker's insistence, David agrees. Now, the next day, David's uncle Markowaski is going somewhere. That's when David and Walker stop their car near him. Walker says to him, "Can we give you a lift ahead?" Hearing this, Markowaski says, "What do you want?" Walker says, "What exactly is being transported to the complex these days?" Then David says, "We want to see what the governments are dumping there." Hearing David's voice, Markowaski also gets into their car. Walker says, "We want to know what is being hidden in the complex, whether weapons are being taken there." Hearing this, David gives Markowaski some bottles of drinks. Then Markowaski says, "I prefer to drink with my family. Your eyes look like your mother's. Do you even know what my brother looked like?" Hearing this, David stops the car and says, "I think you are not interested in working for us." Actually, Markowaski was David's uncle and he didn't like David at all. Next, David and Walker also persuade Morgan to join them in going to the complex. The next day, the three of them reach the complex gate wearing black clothes, where Markowaski opens the main gate for them. Going inside the complex boundary, they see that there was a ventilation shop which was locked. Walker asks Markowaski, "Do you have the key for this?" Then Markowaski says, "No, I don't have it." Hearing this, Marin and Walker start thinking about how they will go inside. They don't understand anything, so they start to leave from there. Then David says to his uncle, "Why don't you take us from where you go inside? I know you also hate the government system. Even if you take us inside, what will you find?" Markowaski says, "I will lose my job." Then David says, "You used to work in the army. How many more days can you do this job?" Hearing this, Markowaski began to take them inside from the main entrance of the complex. The entire complex was built in an underground tunnel, and Markowaski began to take them inside the complex. Inside the complex, there was also an office where some army personnel were sitting. Markowaski tells the three of them, "You'll have to sneak out from here." First, Markowaski walks past the office. Then the three of them also started to sneak behind Markowaski. David went first, and then a lady sitting inside the office came out and started calling for Markowaski. Markowaski went inside and the lady said, "The TV has broken down. Will you take a look at it?" Then Markowaski started fixing the TV, and during this time, Walker and Marin also snuck ahead. Markowaski also turned on the TV and followed them. Later, Markowaski takes them to a door inside the complex and says, "Behind this door is everything you came here to see." Markowaski opens the door to reveal a large warehouse where many documents were filled in sacks and stored. Markowaski began to lead them further. Then they saw that notes were scattered on the ground, and further ahead, they saw many sacks filled with notes. Seeing so much cash in front of them, all three were shocked. Marco Vasky says, "Until yesterday, these notes were allowed, but now they have become just paper. If you want, you can take them with you." Along with Vasky, all three started running. They reached the main gate, but it wasn't opening, and the gate next to it started closing, causing them to get stuck there. Then they quickly exited through the closing gate. Later, Marin asks Marco and Vasky, "Where is the air shop?" Marco Vasky says, "It's over there." Then all four of them started running towards the air shop, and the army guy also started looking for people in the tunnel with a gun. Somehow, all four of them reached the air shop and see that its door was also closed. Then they started running from there as well, and somehow reached the tunnel's ventilation shop, and Marin climbed up and lowered the stairs. Actually, there was a ventilation shop there with long stairs, and through those stairs, one could go up from the underground complex. Then all four of them reach the top, take their car and leave, and while sitting in the car, Marin, Volker and David all start feeling happy. Marin says, "I've never had so much fun before." Later, Marin asks Marco and Vasky, "Will you guys get into any trouble?" Marco Vasky says, "Nothing will happen because no one saw me. If someone had seen me with you, maybe there would have been a problem." Later, they were at home looking at all the money. Just then, David's mother comes in and is shocked to see so much cash. Then Volker says, "We have so much cash, but it's all useless." Just then, David came in and said, "We've already exchanged all the cash. Now if we go to exchange more, what will we say that we've gotten more cash?" Then Marco Vasky says, "I haven't exchanged it yet. I can do it." Then Marin asks, "How much money can you exchange without anyone noticing?" Marco Vasky says, "I get 920 marks monthly." Volker says, "So based on this, how much money would they have gotten over 20 years? We can estimate that." Marin says, "But 20 years ago, they probably didn't get 920 marks for working." David says, "Maybe they used to get 300 marks monthly, and that would be the 20-year amount." Then David's mother, who was sitting there, says 72,000 marks. Hearing this, David says, "We need to exchange an amount that doesn't raise suspicion." Then Marco Vasky says, "I don't need the money. I'm doing all this for you." Now friends, this incident was from the time of 1990, when the Berlin Wall was brought down and East and West Germany were united. Because West Germany was stronger, its currency was stronger, and there was more trade with other countries in their currency. Therefore, West Germany's currency was retained, and the decision was made to demonetize the less powerful East Germany's currency. And David and his family were in this Germany, where the currency was discontinued, and a time frame was given to the people of this Germany, during which they had to get their currency exchanged. The deadline for exchanging currency had already passed, and David and his family were left with a large amount of cash. Later, Marco Vasky goes to deposit some money in his bank account because he worked for the government. Later, they take Marco Vasky home and look at his passbook, and Marco Vasky had deposited 50,000 Indian rupees in his account, which was to be divided into 4 parts. Now, they started thinking about what they would do with the rest of the money, how they would exchange this currency for West Germany's currency. They had a lot of cash, but they couldn't exchange it because the time given for cash exchange had passed. Afterward, David stood out on the balcony. Then Marin asks him, "What's wrong with you?" David says, "Everything has slipped out of our hands. The people of this Germany are in trouble, and all the benefits are going to the people of West Germany. We've lost our jobs, the money has stopped." Just then, the doorbell rings, and Marin opens the door to find a man named Dieter, who had come to sell a stove. Dieter started praising his stove in front of David. Then David said, "I have this Germany's money which you guys won't take." Saying this, David started closing the door. Then Dieter says, "We will take this Germany's money too." Hearing this, David says, "Are you joking with me? Because this Germany's money is not being deposited in the bank." Dieter asks, "Do you have this Germany's money?" Then Marin gives some cash into David's hand. Then Dieter takes the money from David and starts giving him 2 stoves. Then David asks Dieter, "What will you do with this money?" Dieter says, "We can deposit this money by Friday, and we still have a full 3 days for this." If you have more money, you can buy more stuff for 3 days. Hearing this, David takes the stove inside and closes the door. Then Marin says to David, these people are still taking money. It means we can buy goods with this money. Then David and Marin go downstairs and Dieter asks them, do you need anything else? Marin says, yes, we have more money from East Germany and we need more goods. Dieter says, alright, I'll bring more products for you. Then Dieter gave them another stove and went to get more products. And Marin asks David, these people are still able to exchange money. David says they have brands and a lot of money too. Maybe they have been given more time to exchange money. These people can sell goods and deposit the money by Friday. Marin says, so that means we have 3 more days. Then Walker also arrived there and was listening to their conversation. Marin says, but we won't be able to spend all the money by Friday. Walker says, then we'll need more people who can help us. Marin looks at the building in which she used to live. There were quite a few people living in that building. Then they go into the building and call all the residents for a meeting. Everyone had arrived at the meeting and David says to them, I am glad that all of you came. I want to tell you all that we have a lot of money, which people are using to buy products and bring them to David's house. Everyone brings the products to David's door and David's mother opens the door, takes the products, and gives them to David and Marin inside. In this way, David's entire house was filled with products and David and Marin placed the products in a basket, sent them to the roof of the opposite building via a rope, from where they directly reached Walker, who had them placed in a trolley and then into a car. The car belonged to a girl named Janeth, who was Marin's friend. Janeth filled her car with all those products, took them to West Germany, sold them there, and took West Germany's money in exchange. In this way, they were buying products with East German money which had been demonetized and selling the same products in West Germany. Because the West German currency had now been implemented in both East and West Germany. This is how their money was being exchanged. Later, Walker was sitting with Marin's daughter Dini, and Dini got up and left from there. Then Janeth, who was sitting there, says to Walker, I know why you came back here. Because you weren't feeling good over there. You, Marin and David have been stuck together like chewing gum since childhood. There are a lot of similarities between you and Marin's daughter Dini, and Dini likes you a lot too. The matter of your relationship with Marin is not hidden from anyone either. Hearing all this, Walker goes to meet Marin to tell her that he still loves her. Walker says to Marin, I want to talk to you about something. Just then, the doorbell rings and David's mother tells him that the police are outside. David goes outside and sees that his son Jenik has been caught by the police because he was making graffiti on the walls. Then David takes Jenik inside and slaps him in front of the police. The policeman left and David and his companions began to worry that the police might find out everything. Then Walker says, I'll go down and check. After Walker leaves, David tells his son Jenik, you are now under house arrest, so you cannot go anywhere from home until I give you permission. Walker also goes down to check and sees that the policeman had left. Then Walker whistles to signal his people, and everyone starts going back to David's house with the products. Now David's daughter Dini also took a 200-mark note and went to the store. Then the shopkeeper takes the note from Dini and keeps it because at that time, the 200-mark note had not been issued in East Germany. These notes were printed and were to be issued, but before that, the East German currency was demonetized. After being printed, they were being taken directly to be destroyed. Seeing that note, Dini brought a big teddy for herself. Later, Walker also brought strawberries and began distributing them to all the people present there. Then Robert asks Walker, what money did you use for the strawberries? Because strawberries can only be bought with West's money. Then a man named Latte, who was present there, says, did you spend West's money? We are all working here, so how can you decide to spend money alone? I can't work with you like this, where anyone is making decisions and spending money because I also have a share in this money. We should call a meeting to make a decision about this. Later, everyone comes to the meeting and Lot asks, who will keep the account of this money? Walker says, then we should divide the money among ourselves because we are not able to work together. Saying this, Walker went outside. Then Robert also went after him and started saying, have you gone crazy? You're leaving after triggering people. Walker says, we brought this money. No one can get up and say anything to us about it. Saying this, Walker left from there. Then Robert goes inside and says, who among us is someone everyone trusts? Then Robert's mother, who was sitting there, says, "I'll take care of the money." Lottie says, "But how can we trust you?" Robert's mother says, "Because I have turned 73 years old. Now I have no hunger to get this money." Next, everyone takes the money to the washing area, and Robert's mother is put in charge of handling all the West German money. Marin then tells Walker, "It can't work like this. You always go out alone." Walker says, "Then why don't you come with me? You, me, and Dinny will create a new family together." Marin says, "And we'll go there and create a small family. Why don't you stay here and create a good life with us? We will all live together like a family." Walker likes Marin's idea and stops thinking about leaving. Then we are told about the bank in Germany where the notes were printed. An officer there got hold of a 200-mark note from East Germany, which Marin's daughter Dinny had gone to circulate. That is, a note which had been printed but had not been brought into the market. Looking at the note, the officer goes to his senior and says, "Sir, we are getting more and more amounts of East Germany's discontinued currency." The big banks got a hint that the amount coming in for exchange was more than expected. Now Friday had arrived, which was the last day to exchange East Germany's money. So everyone started buying products quickly with money, and by evening they all began talking among themselves. That's when David's mother tells them, "Our money is missing." David says, "How did this happen?" David's mother says, "I was keeping an eye on it. I think someone came to the toilet area and took the money." The money David's mother was keeping an eye on was stolen by someone, which was West Germany's money and was still in circulation. Then Marin, David, and Walker find out that everyone is taking the products to their own homes, meaning the products they were supposed to sell in West Germany, they are taking home. Then David tells them, "You are dividing things already. Fair distribution won't happen this way." A debate starts among them over this, and a box hits David. Then Marco Aski comes and stands on a chair, telling everyone, "Do you know that the unemployment rate in Germany is going to rise to 25% because all industries here will shut down this year? So the people present here think that you'll manage with this much money." Then the people present there say, "And what else can we do? The time for exchange has passed. Now we have no way out." Then Marco Vasky says, "Have you people read this government contract in detail? There's something written in a small line. I'll read it to you. For people from East Germany who are working abroad, the deadline to exchange their money is November 6th. David says, "So we have to find people who work abroad." Marco Vasky says, "Yes, absolutely." Then with Marco Vasky's help, they find a man who used to work abroad, and David and Walker began waiting for him at the airport. Then the man they were waiting for at the airport comes out, and Walker and David start taking him in the car. That man was a government officer, and he started telling Walker and David about his work. Then the man named Kulesh sees that he is being taken on a different route. Seeing this, Kulesh asks, "Aren't we going to Berlin?" David says, "We are going to take a detour and go there." Kulesh got suspicious and opened the car door. Seeing this, Walker stopped the car, and Kulesh got out and ran. और कुलिच का थोड़ी आगे जाकर गिर गया। तब डेविड कुलिचा को कहता है, "हम आपको कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुंचाने वाले। हमारे पास आपके लिए एक ट्रेड का ऑफर है। डिप्लोमेट्स और वो लोग जो बाहर जॉब करते हैं वो अभी भी पैसा एक्सचेंज करवा सकते हैं, इसलिए हमें आपकी हेल्प चाहिए।" ये सुनकर कुलिच का उनकी गाड़ी में जाकर बैठ गया। कुलिच का उनके लिए पैसा एक्सचेंज करवाने के लिए रेडी था। आगे मार्को आस्की कुलिचका से पूछता है, "तुम कितना पैसा एक्सचेंज करवा सकते हो?" कुलिचका कहता है, "तकरीबन 5 लाख मार्क।" यह सुनकर मार्को आस्की कहता है, "यह अमाउंट तो काफी अच्छा है। क्या तुम्हारे और कोई भी साथी है जो विदेश में जॉब करते हैं और हमारा ये काम कर पाएंगे?" कुलिचका कहता है, "मैं समझ गया, लेकिन तुम मुझे कितना परसेंटेज दोगे?" मार्को आस्की कहता है, "एक्सचेंज करवाने के लिए हम तुम्हें 2% देंगे।" कुलिचका कहता है, "ठीक है, मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूँ। मेरा एक दोस्त है इरविन जो युगांडा से आने वाला है, एक और दोस्त है जो स्वीडन से आने वाला है, और भी कुछ दोस्त है जिन्हें मैं कॉल करके बुला लूंगा।" अब आगे वो सभी लोग पार्टी कर रहे थे, क्योंकि वो लोग विदेश से आने वाले सभी लोगों को अप्रोच करने लगे थे कि वो उनका पैसा एक्सचेंज करवाए। विदेश में पढ़ाने वाले प्रोफेसर पढ़ने वाले